And you still got to keep that up.
All right.
Isn't that what they did in the 80s? They did that in the 80s. Are we recording?
Yeah, we're good. We're
All
live.
right.
All right. This is episode 68 of the Deconstruction Podcast, brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. Very quickly here, I want to kick it off with one of our latest reviews. This is Sean Poser, a contractor out of British Columbia. Besides it being a great app for my needs as a deck and fence contracting company, the support and open dialogue with the developers has been unquestionably the best experience I've had, bar none. They listen, assist, and go way beyond any other customer service experience I've ever had. Thanks to the team, and looking forward to working on the website development side of things next. Wow, great review. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
That's good, man. To hear that. You guys get that probably every day, no?
We've been getting, reviews come in pretty consistently, but I was going to say one of the common threads that we always notice in the reviews is our customer service and experience. We always say, like, from day one, that's our bread and butter. That's how we want to be known. So, yeah, thank you, Sean, for that.
Just as a contractor, right? Your customer service has to be bar none, right? It has to be.
And plus we also want to engage with people, whether if it's good or bad stuff. We just still want to engage with somebody. It's difficult to engage with people halfway around the world. And to try to figure out their accent.
And one of the things I always say is our users are our silent business partners, right? We need to listen to them.
100%.
And without them, we have no business. Without us, we can't help them, run smoother. So it's very key that they do give us feedback, and we always try to listen and implement what they're asking for, so that it just makes the app better for everybody, right? We can sit there and say, no, we got it all figured out, but the reality is you don't.
It's kind of funny, eh? I wish I had a DeLorean, man, so then I can go back in time and start construction all over again with all these new tools that you guys are creating and other people are creating, because it makes the job site a lot easier, man. It just makes life easier. We were all doing it a certain way back then that was just consuming so much time. And now today with this and other things, you save so much time. So that basically you can do other things as well too. But is that really, it's a good thing. I always keep thinking, man, it's a good thing that the hamster wheel keeps on spinning. I think it's a good thing, man. So
100%.
Yeah. But even back to the support side of things, throw in AI. Every time you try to speak to a company or get support, you're speaking to a robot, a chatbot, an AI receptionist. I think we're going to get to the point very soon, if in some cases we're already there, where one of the moats, the differentiators of companies is like being able to speak to a human. Like, people will value that.
But don't you think that the younger generation right now actually does not want to do that?
I don't think, well, yes, I think this is short term, but I do believe, like, innately as humans, like, we crave relationship. We crave that human to human, and there's something there I think you can't take away.
But I think that most of them don't want to actually engage with anybody and talk.
They don't until they have a problem where they need that human interaction they need that human feeling, right? Because it's one thing to ask a question, but how many times have you asked a chatbot, in multiple, of these big companies, and all of a sudden you're like, the message is not getting across, and you're asking it 100 times and nobody's answering it for you properly. And it's like, can I just speak to a customer representative, please?
I think the problem with a lot of chatbots these days is that it's the repetitive replies. So you've answered their question on what they've asked you, and then they just ask you the exact same question again. And I'm like, that doesn't happen in society. When you're sitting down with the boys or the girls or whatever, and you're talking stuff, nobody ever repeats the exact same phrase back at you to ask you what that answer is, right? And I'm like, what is this, a glitch in the matrix? What's going on here? I don't understand that, man. There's no black cat around here. I don't get it. So normally people would just say, sorry, I missed that. What were you saying? And then we kind of keep the conversation going. But it's interesting, man. So it's good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, good to see you too. Quick intro here. So, we got a familiar voice back on the pod. Doesn't really need an introduction. He's the man behind one of the most consistent, most prolific voices in Canadian construction media. He's been on this show before. We've been on his. And at this point, we're boys, we're family. So Manny, host of the Construction Life podcast. Welcome back.
Guys. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. It's my third time on your show.
I believe the third, yeah.
You guys have been on mine 3 times, no?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Twice, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Three. I thought it was 3 times. Yeah, 3 times you guys have been on mine. So how's everything in podcast land there?
I like it. I enjoy these episodes and connecting with people, and yeah, I always.
Where's Charlie today? Playing hooky again?
Charlie's he's wrapped up on one of our sites. Just delays after delays, and there's a big pour going on tomorrow. We got thousands upon thousands of feet of drains that we got to make sure that they don't break the cleanouts and floor drains, and just get ready for this big pour. So he wanted to be here, and unfortunately he couldn't. So he does say hi, and
Well, tell him I said hi, and it's just like people need to understand that you guys are still running a business outside of doing Jobtable and outside of doing your business, and then you have this podcast. It's like people need to understand. I'll start a podcast, and then they kind of fade away before they hit number 10, and they don't realize how much work's involved in doing a podcast, and then also running a business and running a bunch of stuff, and then also engaging and talking to people. Man, it's a lot of work. So kudos to you guys for doing all that extra work just to get the conversations out there and people getting this knowledge and going out there. And I still thrive on it. I like it. I like when people come by and quote. They kind of remind me of what was said, and I'm like, shit, am I really that old? Because I'm not remembering a lot of the stuff that I just say in the heat of the moment if something's happening and I'm just talking. But some people just zero in, and it connects with them. And that's the point of a podcast, really, right? So you want to kind of have an open, free speech conversation about what's really going on in the construction industry. So it's amazing that you guys are doing it and other people are doing it, but it ain't as easy as everybody thinks it is, man. It's a lot of work.
It's not. It is, and it's hard to keep a schedule, like you said, especially when you're running a construction company, running a software business. Dealing, again, wearing multiple hats. But truly, Costa, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but truly, why we do this and why we even thought about doing this before is just to put a face behind the brand and make them know that it's like, guys, we're exactly like you guys. We're blue collar guys. We're here to help fix the industry. And again, I'm not saying I know it all, but this is my 17th year of running, our plumbing company. And, I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, and I'm trying to give everybody out on the field the same tools that I wish I had when we were coming through. It would have helped me a lot to mitigate mistakes and stay on top of things, right? So it was that's why we do this, right? It's literally to put a face behind the brand so people know that we are real people, and to also engage in the blue collar guys to come on and tell their side of the story, and hopefully any one of our listeners are number one, they enjoy what we talk about, even if they don't agree. It's an open dialect, right, Manny? Honestly, and I always say it's exactly what you did. I'm not trying. Obviously, you have big shoes to fill, but obviously we're nowhere near a construction life podcast. It's just, I think, to give a platform to these guys to speak their mind and tell them what they went through and the struggles that they're going through. And anybody who's listening, maybe it just helps them, even if it's one sentence, one, conversation that just sparked an idea or fixed something that they were doing wrong, or, that's what we do this for.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah. So. Yeah. I just wanted to jump on board because I'm actually doing the circuit now, right? That's the idea, was that I wanted to create a little bit of noise about Red and True. I think online on my social media, a lot of people have heard me saying those 2 words, 3 words with and, I guess, just talking about it. And it's just the idea of what I wanted to do. But it's really unfortunate how, like in construction, I never connected to people that didn't care about construction. Like, I always butted heads with people who didn't care about construction, who actually wanted to improve construction. I just always butted heads, man. And I think it got to the point where it's like, I don't need to be rubbing elbows with those individuals. I'd rather be rubbing elbows with individuals that care about construction and are looking to try to improve it in some way. Doesn't matter if it's like tiny amounts of improvement, just something to make it better. And I mean, working on Reddit True for a long haul for the last almost a year now, it's just amazing the conversations that I've been having with certain people that have a performance persona, I will say, on social media and just in general in public. They talk a lot of crap, but don't really back any of it. And it's confusing to me because I've only ever been one way. I care about construction. That's my fucking mandate. That's my objective. That's what I want to do. I recently announced if someone wants to reach out to me and have an hour conversation with me, not recorded, just talking about the industry and pick my brain about certain things. And I had 2 conversations really recently with a couple of individuals, good fucking guys in their 30s. I'm not sharing their names or anything like that, but the conversations were great and they lasted longer than an hour. One almost went 90 minutes. And they were very grateful for what I was kind of giving them insight to. And they were also complimentary, talking about how I never looked at it that way. And so there is some fucking value to the older guys with gray hair, kind of gone through shit before, and they're just teaching the younger generation how to bend at the knees and lift something. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of been there, we suffered from it, and now we're trying to just pass on this knowledge. And that's what I think Red Truth is all about. It's just, we want to share this knowledge. We want to basically interview these people across the country, 10 provinces, and have the opportunity to give them a voice so they can let us know, okay, so what's happening in your neck of the woods? Because I don't live in your community. I don't come from your province. I don't know your circle of friends or your circle of professional networking, right? I don't. So I'm going to ask you all these questions, and then I'm expecting that you tell me the truth. You tell me what's really going on. If it ruffles feathers, I don't give a shit about that. Canada, for me right now, has felt like you can't talk about the truth because it doesn't line up with hurting people's feelings. And I'm like, what the fuck is all that about? I don't understand that, man. Like, can we not solve problems by actually speaking about what the problem is? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? That's how we solve things. Canada used to be a certain way. So it's been challenging. I'm excited. I want to do it. I've been pulling off a lot of shit. I've been talking to a lot of people, and I want to pull this thing off. I mean, it's a long haul. Like, a lot of people never talk about the podcast and building a podcast and building that engagement with a podcast. Like, man, to get a crew of people ranging from ages of 20 to 50s and going out for 4 months across the country, 24/7, working every single day of the week over that time period, traveling 20,000 plus kilometers, interviewing 200 plus people, documenting it, and then sharing all that content online. That's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work that we're like, once we get it green lit and we're going, we have a lot of work ahead of ourselves. But it's no different than construction. The idea is that, you don't stop working because you got the job. That's when you start working, when you got the job. Because the thing is, you need to figure out how that job is going to unfold because you got that job. Now you got to deliver. And then by the midpoint, you got to figure out the next job. And then you got to figure out how to get that job. And then you got to start that job, right? And then you got to keep on going. And it's a cycle over and over. So we've got a lot of work. I want to pull it off. I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted to figure out, what people are interested, what they want to see, other than just us traveling across the country and seeing some sort of touristy areas and things like that. I'm very, very curious about what this construction industry looks like in Canada in 2026, right? I got into construction, you can call it 15, 16, 17 years ago. Construction was different. It was completely different then, right? What it is today. And what I'm finding frustrating right now is that I can't have conversations with boomers today. I want to honestly punch boomers. Like, the majority of boomers keep on telling me you have to look at how society was back in the late 80s, early 90s, I would say turn of the Y2K, 2009. And I disagree with them. What we are facing today in 2026 has never been something that's been presented to the construction industry ever. You can't compare it. There's finite little details here and there that are comparable, but the overall landscape of construction is a new animal. It's a completely new animal, right? And you have to come up with new ideas to attack that animal. And that's what I think people are forgetting. And also, I don't rest on the idea of like, okay, they invented the wheel back then, so let me just do the exact same thing they did. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't, because you weren't confronted with the ideas that are being presented on these construction sites. You're not confronted with a workforce that has an option to be a tradesperson, but has an option to be X amount of other careers out there, starting with social media influencer and OnlyFans model and all this other crap, right? So it's like, you have construction right now has so much competition that is contributing to what I think is the number one problem in construction, where nobody else is talking about this, and I'm surprised by it: retention. Like, I have a major problem with, I never got into construction thinking, when the fuck is going to be the date that I'm going to get the fuck out of construction? I never thought about the expiration date of construction in my career. Never. And I still don't think about it. Even though I'm not swinging a hammer, I'm still contributing to construction. I'm doing a bunch of things behind the scenes that are completely relevant for construction. So my expiration date doesn't exist, but I find this younger generation getting into construction already thinks about an expiration date. And that's a bad way of doing it. Like, when you go on a road trip, you go on a destination, you go on a journey. No one ever thinks about that final stop. You have to think about the entire course. You have to think about the entire trip. Those are the moments when you have the best fucking valued lessons in life, right? So that's what's exciting about the trip. But if you just think about the ending is going to come, man. Like that. Okay, so that basically means you were born today and all of a sudden you're going to start thinking about the day you're going to die? That doesn't make any sense. Go back to living your life. So you got to live your life during that whole process. You got to literally live your construction life during your construction career. But if you're going in thinking this is temporary, I'm only going to do this for 5 years, 10 years, or whatever, and then they're getting the fuck out, that's my problem. But no politicians, no guidance counselors, nobody in the professional social media world of construction is talking retention. And I don't understand why they don't talk retention, because I'm seeing these people that have potential get in and then get the hell out. And I'm like, it's wrong, man. Like, it's wrong. You have the ability to change this industry. You have the ability to improve this industry. You have the ability to really build certain things that you can look back over your shoulder and go, I had a hand in that, but you're not choosing that. No one's ever going to go through your social media feed and go through thousands of posts and going, remember that? That was a cool moment. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about that. That's your like ego for 10 seconds of your life on social media to complete strangers around the world, just so you can get your fucking numbers up, your engagement. That has no fucking value whatsoever. Your engagement on a construction site and learning your skills by other people and other people contributing and giving you ideas as well to improve your skills, that's what's valuable, in my opinion. Sorry for the long fucking rant.
No. Let me take a quick step back here. So you're here, you're chasing something big, right? It's called Red and True. So a national tour to document the real heartbeat of the Canadian construction industry, right? Coast to coast, small towns, big cities,
all 10 provinces,
the job site, and just put a microphone in front of people who are actually building this country. So for anyone maybe hearing about this for the first time, just like, what is Red and True?
It's basically what you just described. That's what it is. It's me going into your backyard and asking you a few questions. And I've done this long enough to kind of ask the questions in a way that I'm actually truly listening. You know what I mean? Like, when I have these phone calls with these individuals that reach out and talk to me, they appreciate that there's a person listening. I don't think that's a fine art, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people can pull that off. I think a lot of people are just waiting for other people to stop speaking so then they can start speaking. That's not who I am, right? I love listening and understanding where problems are. We're all in construction, guys. The number one thing that we do really well is solve problems. That's our objective. That's the career. That's the core of it. When you look at construction, we are given a task. That task is in the form of drawings of some sort, scope of work, so to speak. There's a list of problems. They're invisible because you, as a professional tradesperson, you're looking at that drawing, that scope, that everything, and all you're seeing is problem number 1, 2, 1A, 1B, 1C, 2, and on and on and on. Your job, your task is solving all these problems, right? So I want to listen to everybody's problems, and then I want to contribute with ideas that I've heard from other people, because like you said, Johnny, I'm never the smartest person in the room. I never will be the smartest person in the room. And if you think you are, then you're in the wrong room, right? We all know that. So it's like, I want to listen to these problems, and then I want to have an engaging conversation about what I've heard other people, how they handle those problems, contribute to that conversation, and vice versa. That's going to spark them to kind of say something. And that happens on a construction site all the time. When you have a dialogue going on about a problem solving, a situation, a task at hand, or what have you, you have different age groups and different levels of experience discussing it openly without ego, and then contributing to what to do, how to do it, and how to achieve the objective, right? And then all of a sudden, that conversation that's open and talking about what we need to try to pull off, it sparks somebody or everybody to come up with solutions. And that's what you want. You want a bunch of solutions presented on the table. You want a few jokes in here and there, and you want a couple of coffees here and there, and maybe a little tug of the cigarette or a cigar or whatever it is. But in the core of it, you want to come up with a truckload of solutions, right? So that's what I think Red and True is really about, is that I want to walk away from it going, we contributed this. You know what I mean? And now, guys, do whatever you want with this.
Now, can I don't want to put words in your mouth. Obviously, you know, we become really good friends, not only in the industry, but on a personal level. But I would say too, as an outsider looking in, I would say Red and True is also, it's also a way of giving the boots on the ground a voice, because we hear, you know, we've talked about many different things that people headline in the news and in articles and in statistics, and then we go and discuss them, and it's like, well, no, I don't really see that happening. So I feel like Red and True is, in the truest form, getting really what's going on without any fucking media or anything in between intervening, because it does not work for either a narrative, either statistics that were put out, you know, silencing people from saying this or that. I feel like it's just a raw way to say, fuck everybody. This is the construction guys. This is where we are in this city or in this town. We're talking to X amount of, you know, boots on the ground, company owners. And this way, I feel like, you know, you're giving the platform to the actual people who are in the industry, not just somebody who's working behind a desk saying that statistically, this is what it says.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys ever heard the term media training?
Yeah.
You've heard of media training and handlers and shit like that?
Yeah.
These are occupations and individuals that don't belong in construction. In my opinion, they don't belong, right? So if you need media training, if you need all this other shit, and I remember when that term was first presented to me long time ago, and then I had to ask them, I was like, am I reading subtitles here? I don't understand what this term means, right? I don't understand what this title, this position, I don't understand what it is. Can you please just clearly define what this is? And when they explained it to me, and I said, that makes no sense to me. I don't want it. I don't care for it. It doesn't need to be happening, right? But I think right now there is way too much media training going on all levels of construction. And I think that construction and the perception of construction is trying to be curated. I think that anybody who starts to build a certain voice in construction, they're concerned about falling off the script. And I'm like, first of all, there shouldn't be a script, because we go back to the problem and solution situation, right? You've got people that they generally want to speak, but I think that's probably one of the comments that I get repetitive over and over. They're too afraid to speak, right? They're too nervous about what the backlash might become as a result of speaking openly. And I'm like, you're never going to solve the problem if you don't speak openly about the problem. But if you're trained to speak about the problem in a certain way, you're definitely never going to solve the problem. It's impossible. All you're going to do is word salad it and put it together, and you're going to just use these keywords that people are going to try to remember. And then, by the way, you turn around and you're like, the rabbit's still in the fucking hat. I don't get it. You guys didn't achieve anything. I don't understand. So that's not the point. And that's what I think what's going on right now in construction is everybody wants to stay on the sidelines. They want to stay quiet. They don't want to kind of piss anybody off. They don't want to express an opinion right or left, middle, top, whatever. I don't give a shit. And because they're too concerned about being attacked. And I'm like, construction was never like that. It should never be that way.
It's funny you say that, because now being in the construction industry now for the last 4 years with Jobtable, I've been saying this since day one. One of the reasons why I absolutely love this industry and working in this industry is the people. Everyone is just raw, real. You don't have to put on a show or have this media training like you're describing. And it's unfortunate, because that's who construction people are, like very raw, very real. And, you know, you're kind of describing it in a way where they're kind of, for some reason, being blocked from, you know, expressing that realness. You know?
You guys remember how you guys made friends when you were younger? It wasn't based on what their job was. It wasn't based on how much money they made. It wasn't based on the car they were driving. Well, first of all, we had bicycles. It wasn't even based on the kind of bicycle you were riding. It wasn't based on anything other than you guys connected through conversation. That's it. Yeah. You just said, "What's up? What's your name?" Whether you were kind of extending your hand from one desk to the other desk, or you're kind of in the playground and you're like bumping into each other and just wrestling on the fucking dirt, and you're like, "Okay, what's your name?" Right? And you got along and you're like, "Okay, what's your background? Where you live? Where you come from? All this other shit." And nobody judged, nobody formed an opinion about you because you didn't have all these kind of societal assets. You know what I mean? To kind of turn around and go, "I'm going to speak to you a certain way because I'm going to learn what you do for a living, how much money you make, who you're married to, what you drive, where you live, and all this other shit." And I'm like, that's construction. Construction is like those kids in a playground, and we all just get along because we like each other. Doesn't matter what skin color, doesn't matter what religion, doesn't matter anything. We just liked each other. Simple as that, right? And that's what I respect about tradespeople in general. You guys are hardworking individuals. You care about the task at hand. You care about the overall industry. Sure, there's bad apples. There's bad apples in every industry, right? But the problem is that now construction's been contained. It's been controlled, curated. I keep like it's back and forth. And I'm like, I don't want to speak to a puppet. If I want to speak to a puppet, I'll watch fucking Kermit. You know what I mean? I don't get it, but I'm expecting Kermit. You know what I mean? And if he pulls out a big cucumber, then I get it. That fucking makes a lot of sense and that makes me laugh. But I don't want to speak to puppets. I want to speak to real people. So I personally want to get all these people, and I get the sense that if we pull off this red and true, the word will get out that we'll be arriving at a certain place. And we'll pick really small places. I've had people really, reach out to me, send me some DMs or emails, and they're like, if you're going to stop here, I make notes. I make notes of all these cities, these communities, these towns, whatever. And they ain't the big ones. They ain't Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary. They ain't. They're small communities. I'm looking forward to the smaller communities because I think those people are going to be those kids in the playground. They're going to be honest with me. They're going to share real information about what's going on in their neck of woods. And they're also going to give me insight on how to improve this country. Because there's nobody, no puppet right now, could look me straight in the eye and tell me Canada is a great place right now. Nobody can tell me that and literally mean it. No fucking way. That's a script that's being told to everybody right now, which is so incorrect. That's been designed by media planners and it's being fucking designed for possible future ideas of where this is going to go. And I'm like, you can't, riding a motorcycle, you never look into the fucking ditch. You have to stay on the road and look. And this country is looking in the ditch every single day. And it's unfortunate. And I need to get on the road, interview these people so we can stay the path of getting construction back on track. It's important to get it back on track.
It's funny you mentioned the playground. So the way me and Johnny met, grade 3 recess.
Sure.
Like new kid, it's like, hey, what's your background? So, are you Greek? He's like, yeah. And that was it. The rest is history.
We all did it in construction too. You get started in construction, you start going, man, you kind of look Greek, you kind of look Italian. What the fuck is it? Your mom, dad, different? What's going on? Like, and you just start kind of picking, I don't like pork chops. I don't give a shit like that. But then you see the work. Now you see the work and you see the care attached to the work. Your opinion turns to respect, right? Doesn't matter what culture he's from. Doesn't matter. Listen, we're all from the old country. Our parents are all from the old country. And people hated each other because they lived on the wrong side of the street or whatever it is. Or if they wore the wrong kind of sandal. Like, it's just like they had the dumbest reasons for hating people. And I'm like, I get that, but I don't care about it. I just respect people in general. So if you swing a hammer and you actually care, I respect you. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It's just, if you don't hurt other people.
And I honestly feel, even though a lot of people say it, I feel like it's words, but doing like large commercial, industrial, I feel like there's people at the top that, whether they be the PMs, the coordinators, engineers, and I'm not saying all of them, right? Because I got good relationships with a lot of PMs, a lot of engineering firms, consultants, designers. But I do feel like us blue collar, like the actual workers on site, are looked down upon. And what I mean by they're looked down upon is, I don't know if it's a sense of like, they're not smart enough, like go swing the hammer. But the reality is no doctor's office, no lawyer's office no courtroom, no building that you live in, no community center would be built, would ever be there without the blue collar guys, the people who are actually swinging the hammer.
That's
and
a
this
fact.
this is where again, Manny, I for all of our listeners listening, like, this red and true needs to happen, because I don't think anything real and raw has existed like this. And I'll speak for Canada or anything I've seen personally. I think that it is crucial that this has to happen. And the reason I think that it has to happen is because, like you said, in the past, I want to say 10, 15, 20 years, we've been on a roar, okay? And that's been, stock markets, everything's been on the up and up, and people just don't have time, right? Everybody has to wake up, go to work, and it's like, I'll keep my mouth shut. I don't care. I don't care what people think. I'm not even going to voice my opinion. But like you said, I think that the trajectory that we are on right now, it takes the blue collars to fucking stand up, right? And say, no, this is what's actually happening. This is what I'm noticing. This is how it's affecting me and my family, right? Or this is how it's affecting me and my company. And I think this story needs to be told. So I wanted to kind of interrupt and just say that,
yeah.
Because on the basis of red and true, this is something that I think everybody listening, every contractor, don't look for an ROI, right? Like, and I know it's going to be a segue into what we're going to talk about, but I think everybody should stand up and support it in any which way it is.
Yeah, just reach out to me and you can have a chat with me and talk to me about it. But yeah, we're looking for the support to pull it off. And I think what's really scary is that it's going to be a mostly negative capturing road trip. And I say that in a certain way. When I say negative is I mean that there's going to be far more things that are down with this country than things that are up. Right? I think that you're going to discover that a lot of people across the blue collar industry, every industry, is they're suffering. Right? They're trying to figure out how to make ends meet. They're trying to, what they're worried about the next paycheck, the next job, the next way. Like, never in today's terms have we ever had a society in Canada where so many are worried about tomorrow. Never. This is the first time. You can't compare it. And what I get upset about, I'm on this whole kick about 99% versus the 1%, right? The problem is that the 1% does really well when the economy is good. They always do, right? And then the problem is that they do a little bit better when the economy is bad. But unfortunately is that when they're doing good when the economy is good, the 99% are doing okay when the economy is good. When they're doing a bit better when the economy is bad, and the 99%, they're doing terrible, dangerously bad. And that's what I don't like. That call me black and white and good versus evil. I'm just that simple. That doesn't work for me. Right. So it's just, I think that you get a lot of people not interested in hearing what's really going on because nobody wants to fucking contribute. Nobody wants to be a standby and all of a sudden go, well, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. But anybody in construction has an opinion about what's going on in construction. The problem is that the 99% of real construction people don't have a script, don't have a media planner, don't have any media training. Don't have
it. They're too raw, and they're just too raw.
That's it. So their opinion is coming from what they're feeling, which is connected to their loved ones, their family, their parents. It's all connected to their small circle, right? So it's like that's where they're getting their script from. And that's what I think is important, and that's what I want to capture on Red and True. I don't care about the agenda from the 1%. I could care less. I've had my share of speaking to the top 1%. You know what I mean? The conversations are scripted. Conversations are boring. Conversations are you never get into the nitty gritty of things. I mean, I recently started coming up with a saying about the unions because a lot of people, for some weird reason, are showing me all these positive union videos. And I'm like, why am I being bombarded with these positive union? It's kind of interesting when more than half the workforce is not working and I'm being bombarded with all these positive union videos. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, the union's really good at basically letting you know what you'll make, but they're really bad at letting you know what they'll take. That's just as simple as that. And I'm like, you can attack me all you want about whether it's a union is a good idea or a bad idea or what have you, but the union right now is not doing much for the worker. They say
I don't
they
fault.
are.
See, I don't fault. See, and this is one thing that maybe we should really touch base on, because I know on one of our videos in the past, you know, we had a few comments that people think we're talking bad about the unions. Like let's get one thing straight here. It's we care about the workers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We care about the business owners,
Yeah.
right? I'm not worried about the 300 employees inside the union hall that are pushing paperwork, right? Like, listen, we care about everybody. You know, as Canadians, that's just generally who we are.
I don't care about the brass.
But in the end of it, in the end of it, like in any comments, because I know we've talked about this offline, and I think people take it in a bad way. So I think this is a way for us to kind of clear the air. It's like, listen, whether you're a fucking union plumber or a non-union plumber, you're a blue collar guy, of course, this is who we're speaking to, right? We want to better the industry for everybody, right? So it's not the unions per se that we're attacking just because you're a part of a certain local, right? You're a blue collar guy, you're in construction, you're running a company. Of course, man, it's tough. Whether you're union or you're non-union, doesn't matter. It's a fucking, it's a constant uphill battle. I think where you're coming from is more on the people that are taking advantage of people.
Yep.
That's
the brass. Listen, if I see the brass at a union meeting or some sort of social event, social media event or social media content or whatever, and they just keep on talking about, we're in this together, brothers and sisters. We're in this together, brothers and sisters, right? Over and over. We're in this together. We're in this together. But me as a member, me as a worker, and I'm on the job site and I'm looking over my shoulder and you're not there, we're not in this together. We're not. You guys never show up unless cameras show up, unless politicians show up. We're not in this together. There's a clear line drawn between a certain group, 1%, 99%, right? I don't want to piss people off, but that's it. I respect the worker. I respected the union, what the union stood for way back when it got started. I've always said that and never changed my opinion about that. I've always respected the worker and what they do. But unfortunately, the unions in general have changed because money changes everything. Money, as everyone knows, it amplifies who your true character is. So all of a sudden, you start seeing the brass making certain announcements or doing certain things. It's because of certain things have happened behind the scenes. That's just the bottom line. Us as blue collar tradespeople, everything like that, sure, we stand a little more erect and we care a little bit more when we got a bonus, when we got a raise, when we got whatever, like we got an upgrade to a new truck or whatever. We always stand a little bit more. But the benefits that they get pale in comparison to the benefits that the brass gets. They're night and day difference, right? There's this line drawn between the upper and the lower. Canada doesn't have a middle class anymore, right? I want to try to discover this and go on the road and start speaking to people, but we don't have a middle class. We have those who have and those who do not, right? And it's just unfortunate. It's just like, you guys have been in construction how long now? What's it been, 2 decades now?
Over, yeah.
So obviously construction is not the same that it was 20 years ago for you guys, right? It's changed. My problem with construction today, and I've said it earlier, that the problems we have today are not relevant to the problems that we had back in the 90s, right? They're not. I don't like, wipe that shit out, right? My real concern is 20 years from now. That's my real concern. Because we keep on arguing about the labor shortage and all this other crap, right? You keep on rehashing that same fucking script over and over. And I'm like, 20 years from now, all the good trades people, majority of the men, older, gray hair, they're dead and buried 20 years from now, right? And the younger ones are going to be far fewer. They won't be replenishing that whole segment of much older tradespeople today. They won't, because they don't want to be that older tradesperson. They don't. I've had ideas to present it to certain people and they got rejected. And I'm like, I don't get it. So Red and True is about solving a bunch of problems, but nobody really wants to solve problems. They just want things to go and continue the way they want to continue them. And that's it. And I'm like, construction, it's not sustainable if you do that. We can't do it, right? I had the argument recently about the development charges, right? I had a fan reach out and send me a DM. And they were telling me about how a farm ADU, right? A farm ADU got a memo from the city. I won't name the city or what have you, and I won't name the person or whatever. They were saying you need to pay $100,000 in development fee before we even begin the permit process. That's insane, in my opinion. That's a question where I bring up that nobody's answered, where it's like, you guys over the last 11 years have increased development fees 600%. Wages have not gone up 600%. Material has not gone up 600%. But development fees have gone up 600%. This is at the core of why construction is being decimated right now. The core. But nobody's talking about it. The only conversation that we had recently was a temporary relief that they're going to reduce it for a period of time. Then you might as well just tease an animal with a fucking treat and then take it away from the animal. It makes no sense. You need to completely eliminate these development fees. Completely eliminate. Because of your municipal government, because we all know this for a fact, that municipalities control the developments. It's got nothing to do with provincial government, it's got nothing to do with federal government. But yet the federal and the provincial are always the ones talking about development fees. And I'm like, you guys don't have skin in the game regarding this. It's the municipal. The problem is the municipal was so mismanaged that they needed to take the development fees to offset the mismanagement fees of everything else that was not associated with construction. And then they realized, hang on a second, if we could take the money from that, we can increase those fees. And that's what they did year after year. They kept on increasing it, and kept on taking it as it was an ATM. And I'm like, that's what we got to 600% now. And now you've created a problem where no developer wants to start because they're being given a bill right off the bat for $100,000 to even start the permit process. So the smart developers are going to go, pump the brakes. We ain't starting the project. That means laborers are not going to work. That means nobody starts working. That means we have workforce that stays at home doing nothing. And now we get into this whole cycle of worrying about our next dollar, worrying about our next job and shit like that. But nobody wants to go, hang on a sec, who's really responsible for the development fees? I'm like, start pointing fingers at every single city. That's who's responsible. And in my opinion, you fire all of them and you backtrack that to 0%. No development fees whatsoever. Development fees are supposed to contribute to increasing and improving public transit, roadways, infrastructure. But if you got a structure that's already in an area that already has all that, then why do we need to have development fees on this building? That makes no sense. That's just like double, triple, quadruple dipping, right? But it's an ATM. Development fees right now have become an ATM to the municipal governments because they mismanaged their budget.
Yeah.
There has to be
some drastic changes for that to change.
You change that, you'll get so many construction starts.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
I always say it too. You gotta give incentives, right? It's like anything else, you know, because the other argument is going to be like, well, you need these taxes or you need these development fees to fund this and to fund that. Sure, but if you're also in the same, that's where you have to be very careful. That's a very fine line where it's like, but if you're also penalizing essentially all these people for doing this. So you think about a development, it's like, okay, I'm going to take this square building down and I'm going to build a condo, just hypothetically. Let's use that as an example. Well, we're going to hit them with development fees because, you know, they're going to make a shit ton of money anyways on this project. Okay, the big developer is, but now let's look at the chain of events. So if this development goes up, think about how many workers it's going to employ. Think about how much, you know, payroll taxes, right? Think about all that other money that's going to go to these, you know,
economic stimulus.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're not, and I always keep saying this, why do we keep penalizing, whether it's this country, and listen, it happens in many countries around the world, because, you know, Costa and I have had this discussion. It's like, I remember when they first introduced taxes, it was like a 2%. There was almost like a civil war, you know, like 100 years ago, you know. So it's like you look at things like, you know, when you fast forward to today, and it's like, okay, we've all accepted the fact that, okay, you need taxes, you know, cities grow, very densely populated, you know, you need to fund this, you need to fund that. Okay, sure, but also at the same time, in order for somebody to, you know, buy a piece of land, you know, put everything they ever own on that project, you know, against the line, get funding from the bank, pay this, pay carrying costs, and then having to develop this building, this whatever it may be. There's no incentive. The incentives have been taken away, and when you discuss this openly, people just think, well, they make a shit ton of money. Okay.
Who's they? Are you talking about the developer?
Yeah, the developer, that's what they always say. Well,
the good developers are also employing a shit ton of people.
Well, this is what I mean, right? So this is how the world goes around. And it's, sure, the bigger risk, the greater reward, right? Why are we penalizing them? Because the more and more restraints, the more and more red tape, the more and more fees that you're going to charge them, like you said. And I've spoken to these developers as well. And you know what they tell me? It's like, yeah, I got 3 approvals. Oh, when are they starting, right? Because even for us as a plumbing company, we want to have a chance to bid on these projects. Not anytime soon. So what'd you do? Put it on the shelf. Why? Yeah. It's like, makes no sense. If it's going to cost me $100 million, by the time I sell everything, it's $102 million. Yeah,
they crunch the numbers. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I might as well just throw it in the S&P and I'll make more money there.
Do you know why the construction workforce is penalized the most and the worst? Do you know why?
No.
Because they can.
What do you mean by that?
Anybody who speaks to me about why is it that so many clients or people that hire you and are required to pay you for your services that you contributed decide not to pay you? They do it because they can. The problem is that they have their grocery list of people that they owe money to. Everybody owes money to. Doesn't matter how big of a fish you are, a developer, what have you. You're borrowing money from other people to make these projects happen. There's just far more zeros attached to their numbers than your numbers, right? But there's a list of people that are owed money. And in that list is a tradesperson, a business owner, a small shop, all this other shit. And I say the reason that they do it to them is because they can, is because there's more accountable action if you default with a bank, with a lender, with anybody else that has clout. There's serious consequences associated with that. With tradespeople and small business owners, they can get screwed over because they can, because the likelihood of what you can do to destroy that developer financially is nothing compared to the other players involved. And that's the problem. So right now I feel like the tradespeople in Canada are being treated the way we're being treated. And I still group myself in that, even though I don't swing a hammer for a client because I don't fucking like clients these days, right? So I group myself in there. I don't give a shit. They're all stupid people. There'll always be the stupid person in the room, the most dumbest person in the room, because they are. I've never met a smarter client than me. Never, right? That's on a tangent. The problem is that, oh shit, what was I saying? I totally forgot about it now.
About why small businesses are getting screwed over by the big
across the whole country and stuff like that, right? Fuck, what was the whole thing? I totally forgot about that now.
You're basically saying, if we rewind there, you're basically saying that it's the small businesses that are getting screwed because they can, right? Because the repercussion, if they screw over a small business over a lender, is far greater, right?
Yeah, and the whole country is being treated a certain way as a result of this. But then they dangle this carrot of construction hope, where it's like they start talking about these key words, man, and words that I disagree with. Labor shortage, new skilled trades, new funding for trades, right? And I'm like, these words have no value whatsoever. They don't have the value of a tradesperson saying, give me the exact time the truck is arriving on site with my material. They don't have that value. You just telling me the truck is en route doesn't tell me anything. You tell me that truck's arriving at 8:05 a.m. on the dot. That has value, right? And I can't stand it that the construction industry is being treated this way. And we need to solve that. So I need to put a highlight on all the problems that are really going on to wake up the individuals that have scripts associated with their words. I don't have a script. We never rehearse this. We've never have. You guys been on my show, we never rehearsed it. I've been on your show, we never rehearsed it. That's the point of having a conversation. You have a conversation because it's not rehearsed. We're not actors, we're not performers. These people are performers. They're actors, right? So it's unfortunate that they've learned that they can dangle this carrot and they can treat the workforce this way, and everyone's accepting it. You guys all know about Putin and Russia, or not Putin, Stalin. His analogy with the chicken, or not, yeah, with the chicken, right? Pluck the feathers and all that stuff. Like, look it up. That's just how it is. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Where did Johnny go?
I don't know. He disappeared for a second, but I'm sure he'll.
Bathroom break. Bathroom break.
I wanted to ask you, get back into the tour, right? So you have a big reach, right? You can put a camera in front of you and reach tens of thousands of people on the internet. So what does being on the ground in someone's shop or job site capture that like a studio never will?
It's a great question.
Why is that important?
I get to see what's really going on. It's one thing to describe it in the studio and talk about it, but you know this, everybody in construction know this, man. You can watch as many videos or you can read as many books about construction or about the trade or about the task or about whatever, but you ain't ever going to understand how to do that without you being there and trying it. You're going to fail and do a terrible job the first go, second go, the 10th go. You will. You're supposed to, right? And then once you figure out how to perfect that task, then you'll actually come across another task. And that's a construction life. That's what it is. You're tasked with a bunch of life tasks of different things to learn skills to improve, right? I love that. I loved having as many trades on site at any given time. And it wasn't because it was chaos. It wasn't because it was like I was lonely and I needed fucking some companionship or some shit like that. No, I generally saw when I had more people on site, trades would ask each other questions. Trades of different trades were asking other trades questions. They wanted to improve their skill set. So you had a tile setter asking a carpenter. You had a plumber asking an electrician. You had everybody asking these questions. And I knew exactly the reason why they were asking these questions is everybody has a personal life. Everybody wants to solve their problems in their personal life and they want to figure it out on their own, or they want to ask a friend, a trades friend, can you come over and give me a hand with this? Right? And they want to basically achieve things on their own personal projects, right? So then when they're in that network and they have all these people together, that's what Red and True and being on the actual site. I'm going to get a far better understanding of what Tom, Dick, and Harry, electrician, HVAC, plumber, is going through on any given job site. I'm going to basically be, an inspector to the reality of construction. Right? I've always joked I would love to be a building inspector, but my car would explode because I'd be too critical on everything that's going on, right? I'd be like, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, and I'm not taking any money. Yes, inspectors still take, of course they do. That's a fact. It's 2026. I don't give a shit. I don't have any proof of it, but I know for a fact. But the thing is, I'm going to be inspector of the industry, and I want to see what's going on, and I can't do that in a studio, and I can't do it over a phone call. I need to be there. I need to see your inflections. I need to understand what it says in your face when you're not speaking. I think that's critically important. Everybody says more when they don't say a fucking word. That's why I don't trust politicians, because they're constantly fucking talking, right? So I don't trust a single word what they're saying as a result. But tradespeople get quieter the more they want to share. And I respect that. I 100% respect that. And I see it. And that's why I'm not the loud one. I'm not going, well, let me fill in this void because they're not speaking. No, man. You guys are speaking far more when you don't say a fucking word. You don't.
Well, I think it's.
I love how you said that there, by the way. That's really, you can learn more about someone from what they don't say than what they say.
Take that to all the dating apps, guys. You 20-year-olds looking for your significant other that you want to marry and divorce and 10 years later on. Yeah, okay.
No, I think it's important what you're saying there too, because like just to translate that to like a site, and I'll use something that every tradesperson faces, whether they're an apprentice, whether they're a journeyman, whether they're a foreman, whether they're a business owner. I can't tell you how many projects, almost every single project. You start, they have a project schedule, and then all of a sudden, because of X, Y, and Z kind of hurdles or unforeseen things, it just makes the job so much more harder. But then what happens? There's a site meeting, and that site meeting is all about what the client is going through. The client needs to be into this space because at the end of this timeline, they're going to be kicked out of their own space,
Yeah.
and they're going to have nowhere to go, and they need to operate the business. So I need you guys to really commit and pull through so that we can get, this project done.
We froze.
So we sit there.
He's back.
So we sit there, sorry. So they basically explain everything that the client is going through and why they need to be in this space sooner rather than later. Even though, let's just say there was changes or there was unforeseen things that would add 2 months, 3 months to a timeline, hypothetically. So they sit there and they get all these trades into a room and they describe what the client's going through and how this needs to happen, right? Now, where I feel red, white, and true is extremely important is because nobody sits there and says, hey, electrician, hey, plumber, hey, HVAC, hey, framer, hey, roofer, what are you guys going through? You know what I mean? Even though this client needs to get into there, how does this impact you? You know what I mean? Nobody cares, right? This is the reality, right? A lot of people, I don't want to say nobody, but because I have some clients that, they are GCs, so they are essentially tradesmen as well. But a lot of people don't want to hear it from us. A lot of people don't want to hear like me and my guys and Charlie. Like when our guys are speaking, we tell them, like, guys, tell us what's wrong. Tell us what your struggles are so that we can try to give you every tool, every resource possible, to get the job done, right? And to get it done where you don't feel like you're constantly failing, right? A lot of people don't ask those questions. And I feel like red and true, this is where when you go around the country, you're going to be asking these people those questions.
Yeah.
Things that, like you said, we're very silent to this. So things that we never get a spotlight or a platform to discuss. And like you said, look, I've been on construction sites where it doesn't matter if it's religion, politics, dressing, music. Listen, you don't have to agree on anything, on everything, but that's the whole purpose of discussion. Right? The purpose of discussion, open discussion, raw discussion, without any scripts, is to find out where you're coming from, for you to listen to me to find out where I'm coming from, and to come up collectively with that solution, right? And I feel like nowadays, getting back to what you said earlier too, Manny, in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, even when we talked to these older guys, the guys that I was trained by, that were coming up through those eras, sure, a lot of things have changed. Right? Now, have a lot of things gone better? 100%, right? But have certain things that they had better not basically translated into today? Like we haven't taken the good things that they did and continue doing them and trying to make those better, and the things they did shit, trying to make that better so we don't have to go through that. I feel like we're trying to reinvent the wheel instead of look at what has worked, what hasn't worked, take the good, continue with the good, fix the bad. But in order to do that, you have to have these open discussions. And with all due respect, you have to have those discussions with the people that are on the ground, right? Not the people at high level.
Yeah. I think that the problem is that too many people who are given a voice are giving you your answers and refusing to ask you a single question. And that's the basic difference between them and what Red and True is all about. I'm only interested in asking questions. That's it. And my questions are going to be connected directly to who you are as a tradesperson and what you do for a living and who you provide for and what your objectives are, your goals, and where you came from. It's question after question after question. Not every question is going to get answered, but at least the questions are going to be asked. And I'm not walking around with my head up high and just giving you answers like the majority of people with a microphone and not asking you a question. And that's the problem I see, is that in construction, we should be asking more questions and letting them speak and answer those questions truthfully, honestly, about what's really going on. Doesn't matter if it doesn't fit your agenda. Doesn't matter if it doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't matter if anything. But I want to hear it. I just want to hear it to know for a fact. So then I can turn around going, these guys in 10 provinces, times 100, all these people kept on asking same questions, answering the same questions, giving me the same answer. What's going on here? This is the real problem. So why is this not being addressed? Why are we not talking about this, right? And I know that's how things happen. Nobody jumps on board until you get the momentum to get it started, and then it's like, I want to be a part of it, and you want to put a hand. And then by that time, you become you become Michael B. Jordan and Kim Kardashian asking for a friend if he's single. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't matter anymore. You don't jump on when it's already moving. You jump on before it needs to start. That's when you jump on, man. And if you can't see that in construction, then you're missing the point of construction. You have to see that these tradespeople are suffering. You have to experience it. You have to kind of understand it. And you got to go, listen, this is how we're going to solve this. Here's a thought. Here's an idea. This is what we're going to try to do. And that's what I think Red and True is all about, right? And that can't unfold in the studio. That can't it has to happen on boots on the ground. It has to happen on the job site. It has to happen in different cities. Right?
Let's talk about that more. So, obviously, to pull this off, 100-day tour across the country, right? It, requires a lot of time, resources, planning,
gas, fuel, food,
everything. Yeah. So, how has that process been? The funding, just to make that happen, the execution.
I rather have a blind, jittery, small person pluck my pubic hairs one at a time than go through all that all over again. It's been fucking difficult. It's been extremely difficult because it's like I'm speaking to somebody and I swear to you, they can't read the subtitles. They have no idea what I'm talking about. They just don't understand the words that I'm expressing, the things that I'm trying to achieve. They just, it confuses me, right? Because it's like you speak to somebody and you think it's English, you swear it's English, you hear it's English, and you kind of use words that are English, and then all of a sudden they reply back with something that has nothing to do with those English words, and you're like going, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's like, this is the problem, here are the solutions. And everything according to your website, according to your mandate, according to your objectives, lines perfectly with what Red and True is all about. So then when I have a conversation, and I've had my fair share of video calls and all these meetings, in-person meetings, and talking to levels of different governments and all this other stuff, and Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, skilled trades, and all this other shit, you just think, yeah, the pitch went well. I don't have it memorized, but I know every aspect of it. I totally understand this whole Red and True thing. I understand where exactly it's all about, right? And so I pitch it really well. I'm excited about it. It's positive through and through. And all of a sudden you get a rejection and you're like, I don't get it. And the only thing I can think of is we go back to kind of certain people are being compensated for, a wage just to be there filling up space. That's all it is. And it's like they're bloated. Simple as that, right? So then they shouldn't belong there. They don't belong as a representative of construction. You guys don't deserve that occupation, but they're there. So you have to speak to them, and all of a sudden speaking to them, it's not speaking English. It's been challenging. It's been extremely challenging.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the type of people like, and again, I don't want you to, if you don't feel comfortable calling out any specific, let's just say organization, but can you just tell us, and for everybody listening, what type of people at what levels are you talking to? And, are they, like, I guess you just alluded to it, are they even qualified to be in that position?
They're not.
It seems like they are the key holders to these certain segments, within our industry. But if they're not understanding what we go through on a day-to-day basis, how are they there, right? So can you just speak on that a little bit more? Like what have you seen, Manny? Like in so many words, what have you seen in these
everybody in construction does this. Everybody does this in construction. I don't care who you are. Everybody does this in construction. Within seconds, not minutes, within seconds, if this person knows anything to do with construction, right? If they've been on site, if they've swung a hammer, within seconds, not minutes, right? Every single one of these people that I've spoken to, they don't spend any fucking time on construction sites. They don't. And they only speak to tradespeople when the cameras are rolling. And they're only speaking from a script. And so keywords are expressed that are irrelevant to what's really going on in construction. But since these keywords are designed by a marketing promotional agenda, firm, whatever you, they're given this, and now they're asked to memorize this script, and that's what regurgitates from these people. But they're the ones with the pristine, clean, white hard hats, boots that have never seen dirt, have never experienced weather, have never seen snow. The majority of them don't speak for construction. They don't, right? So when I'm speaking to them, it's literally speaking to the people that have no business in this industry. They don't. But for whatever reason, they were given the employment, right? So yeah, and there's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of circles around certain people to get to before you can speak to that person. But the unfortunate problem is that you've got to get through these people to have this conversation. And then as you're presenting, they're telling you about the positives and what they like about it. And everything's all happy-go-lucky. Like, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is perfect. You guys just invented the wheel. This is going to improve construction. All this other, like, it's just the smoke and mirrors there that's going on. And then to receive an email afterwards that just rejects it. You're like, was any thought given to this? I don't understand that. Was it ever given any thought? No, it wasn't. And then it starts to make you think, do people actually really want to make construction better? And from what I gather, the majority of people that are gatekeeping the construction industry don't want to make construction better. They don't. They want to keep it exactly how it is. And why? Because they can. You know what I mean? Like, you got a construction workforce. The websites keep on lying. They're now saying it's closer to 1.7. I'm like, that needle just keeps on moving, right? And I don't get why it keeps on moving. It's closer to 1.5. In Canada, it's 1.5 tradespeople, right? I know that for a fact. It's 1.5. Half of it, one third of it is unionized. 2/3 are non-union. And that's all levels of construction. And the government will tell you that there's a 14% female workforce. That's bullshit. There isn't a 14% workforce. There's a 9% female workforce. That's the truth of it, 9%. And the majority of that 9% is in admin. You know, project managing, admin, architectural, engineering. You know what I mean? That's where they are. Boots on the ground, it's far less. It's closer to 4% boots on the ground females. And there's amazing female trades women out there. Amazing, right? Yeah. But the majority of the construction workforce is a tradesman, and majority, for lack of a better term, is a white tradesman, right? And that's the one group of people that gets nothing. No funding, no extra benefits, no extra anything. And why? Because they can, right? Mm-hmm. All the funding, everything else is going to certain groups of people that are not interested in staying in construction. And they're not. They're proving it. They're showing it. They arrive, get all the funding, go through the hoops, get on site, and say, it's not for me, man. No, I'm not here. It's not for me. So it's been a challenge. So it's like you asked me, it's been an extreme challenge because I'm speaking to people that don't know shit about the construction industry because they've never had the amount of conversations that I've had with people, real tradespeople, men and women, executive brass and laborers, honey wagon drivers, everybody, right? And or the people that I've experienced in my own construction day-to-day life. Right? They've never had that experience. So now you get this person who's like, listen, this is what I'm hearing, man. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm understanding. These are the problems. And now you're presenting it to them as fact. They don't want to hear it. Yeah. They're like, no, we don't need to be told that this is fact. No, our agenda is there's a labor shortage, which blows my mind these days.
On like the other angle, so that sounds like, you know, why you made the call to go directly to the industry, right? The $1,000 backer tier straight from tradespeople, small business owners, instead of waiting for these corporate sponsors who don't even know, you know, what they're doing. Walk us through that like decision. How have those conversations been? Talk about that.
It's been tough, right? Because I see where they're coming from. And I was a little reluctant at first to even propose it and get it out there. It's been supportive, right? A lot of people understand it. They believe in the idea. But a lot of people that I've spoken to also have said, listen, I'm in a tough spot. My business is in a tough spot. I'm trying to figure out how to survive 26. I don't know what 27 is going to look like. And now I'm hearing from a lot of other people, and same with me, I'm hearing it as well. Things ain't going to turn until 28. The problems of construction are going to continue for the rest of this year and go all the way into 27. And then they might slightly turn in 28. So it's like I've had conversations on both ends. People that are doing well, they're surviving, they're not thriving, they're doing well. But then I've had conversations with people who are doing really, really badly. And so it's hard for them to even separate with $1,000. I get it. I understand that. I came up with the idea because it was like part of the ownership of an IP. I'm like, listen, this isn't about me. This is about you guys. I've always said that on the show, right? Like after show number 7 on my library, it stopped being about me. It started becoming about you, the tradesperson, the person who's listening to the show and the one that's built the show, right? I'm just a voice there that's kind of connecting. I'm a conduit. I'm connecting you to what's going on, but people appreciate the rawness of the conversation. So I had to go out to the network because I was getting, headbutts with all the brands. I was getting headbutts by all the government. And the problem is that, I had a couple of brands just flat out tell me we're not interested in investing in Canada right now. That's a hard thing to hear. That's a really hard thing to hear. They'll never admit it on camera. They'll never admit it anywhere. I have an email from one of them, and I'm like, I'm not that dick who would share that, but I am sharing that that's the site that these companies have. They're like, we're not sure what we want to do with Canada. We're not sure if we should invest in Canada. That's a cloud that's not really healthy for this nation, right? And it's not really healthy for the tradesperson at that point. So it's like, I honestly believe, like as much as I want to just be a dreamer and shit like that, I honestly believe that Red and True could actually turn the industry around. I think these conversations.
That's exactly what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna say. Like with these small business owners, right? So yes, I get $1,000. Like that's meaningful to a lot of companies, and it's one of those things where you might not, you invest $1,000, you might not see that tangible return, but at the end of the day, this is like a long-term investment for everybody, for yourself, your future, your kids. And it's like a very small token to achieve that.
Yeah, and to be part of it, and to be part of a movement, and just to get back to what you were saying too, it's like everybody wants to jump on when everything's full steam ahead, and you start seeing everybody kind of jumping on board, and then it's like, oh, I might as well jump on board now. But the reality is look, man. It has to start with somebody, right? And again, not to get too political, but it's like, it took truckers, to say, fuck it, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not delivering nothing. I'm taking my truck and I'm driving all the way down to Ottawa and parking there. And I'll sleep in my truck. I'll do this to prove a point. You know what I mean? And obviously, I know what some of the comments are going to be. Some people will say they proved the point. Some people will say they did it all for nothing. But in the end of it, everybody in construction, it doesn't matter if you're a worker, it doesn't matter if it's even $500, Manny. Don't even look at it from an IP standpoint and what cut am I going to get of the return, and what kind of, let's just say, exposure my company's going to get for investing the $1,000. I think this has to be looked at as a thing where we need a movement here. We need to put blue collar people at the forefront. And kind of, it's like, who are you going to complain to, right? Nobody's fucking listening, right? So you know what? Going in, this whole thing is to document it, talk to people all over the country, and then put this documentation out to kind of say, there's nobody in between. There's no brand that is going to silence what we're able to say. There's no government that's going to be able to silence what we're going to say. We're doing this ourselves. This is our initiative, okay? And nobody's stopping us. Let's put this out to the world.
We're a 1.5 million workforce. That's a huge amount of people, right? And it's like, you guys want construction to turn around? You take that 1.5 million people.
That's that's less than $1 per worker.
Well, they'll turn it around. That's just the truth. They'll turn it around, right? So it's like everybody right now in Canada is on the sidelines, hoping that the economy and the country and everything gets better. But I'm like, you guys have that ability to do it right now. You can turn this fucking economy in your favor right away. It's up to you. But the problem is that you guys are not rallying together. And it's like, yeah, it's directed to the truckers convoy. That's the whole objective here, right? But that's not the objective of the one percenters right now. So it's unfortunate to do that, right? So it's just like I feel for it. I honestly believe that it's a positive thing to do it. I think that the experience will be amazing, and I think that a lot of people will rally behind it. But yeah, the brands will miss out that don't want to be a part of it, and I'm sure that there's probably naysayers out there that want to see it fail. And I'm like, why? Why would you want to see it fail, man? You want to see construction fail? Well, you want to see it fail because you don't care about construction.
Well, I would just say instead of even like anybody listening, right? And I hope, you know, whether it's a clip, I hope this thing goes viral, and I hope people share it because, you know, whether it's $1,000, whether it's $500, whether it's $100, right? Like I think we should all donate to a cause of getting our voices out, right? Like letting our country hear what's actually happening, boots on the ground, without any interference. Without any.
Here's something that I learned recently that so there's a certain percentage. This is tax now, right? Whatever amount that you invest into something that's contributing to a marketing or promotion of your construction business, i.e., you can invest in Red and True and be a part of it. It's 100% tax write-off. It goes against your income that you've increased on your business for the year that you actually did it. Right? That's a fact. You can look it up. I don't have the tax code, but I looked it up and it can. So, which is interesting because a lot of people know that I come from film before construction, and film in Canada, for the most part, it's gotten worse too, where the majority of productions in Canada rely on tax credits. But the problem with tax credits in Canada for the film and TV industry, creating any kind of motion content, is a percentage point. And it's based on actual employees, and it has to be tied to a T4. So you have to hire these people as employees, and then you have to submit their salaries that they receive, their employment numbers, and then you get something like 25%. But by actually investing in Red and True, and if you give $1,000, you automatically have a $1,000 tax credit now, contributed to your business that you've grown. Look it up. I'm not making this shit up, and that's true. So now on the flip side, the year after, whatever, and it does make some money or whatever, and you acquire some of that ownership of the IP, then yeah, fine. Then you got to gain at that point. But you have a loss going into it. Plus, you're also attached to something that's going to hopefully turn the construction industry around. So I find that kind of interesting that there's that slight loophole, but CRA doesn't like that word loophole. There's another term, I can't remember what it was, but there's another term that they use. But guess what? Surprise, surprise, a lot of the one percenters use this term to get away with a lot of stuff. So it's like, why can't the 99% start using the same tools that the 1% are? Why can't they? They can't. They should.
They should. They absolutely should.
Right? So
look, I want to encourage like every single trades or construction company owner, anyone in this industry for that matter. You don't even have to be an owner. Like if you want this industry to thrive for yourself, your kids, the generation coming after you, you should seriously consider supporting this movement. If there's anyone that could realistically make a dent in this industry and help fix some of these issues this industry is facing right now, it's this guy right here. It's Manny. So, and I don't say this lightly, I encourage everybody to consider supporting whatever you can. 100, 200, 500, 1,000, more. Really consider it, because this is not for you. This is for your country, your kids, your family, and everyone coming after you. So wherever
I'm a greedy person, right? So now that
we're gonna put a link below, and I encourage everyone to.
I'm a greedy person, so since you said that, now is like my thought process is like, once you get started, and we address one problem, I'm going to address another problem, and I'm going to address a problem, and then I'm going to get to the point where it's like I'm going after all the fucking problems. That's it. I'm going after all the fucking problems. So I'm going to voice everything that's wrong with construction. That's what I'm interested in, right? And if I can do that, it's out there now. And then once it's out there, you can't take it down. I don't give a shit who you are. You can't take it down. It doesn't go against any kind of community guidelines that it's going to be on the platform. So the problems will be voiced, they'll be expressed, and now it's over to the industry to magnify that voice. Yeah. And then now you solve all the problems, and now we have a better industry. right? That's the whole objective of Red and True. Simple, man. I think it's simple.
100%.
So people don't speak English.
Yeah.
And I wasn't speaking their language either, right? I was all over all the apps, man. I was like scrolling. Nope, nothing's matching, man. I don't know what the fuck they're talking.
Manny, I'm curious to, have you heard of, did you hear of the, this was, I think a few months ago, Lowe's. They announced, this was in the U.S.,
in the U.S.,
million investment to help train and develop 250,000 tradespeople, and they're launching this, some sort of HBO special. Any thoughts on that?
The curtain goes up, and then the curtain goes down. It's all fucking theater, man. It's all fucking theater.
Yeah, we need something.
They had a conversation with the marketing and promotions team. They had a conversation with their publicist team. And they're like, you know what you guys should do? You guys should announce you're going to give a whack of money to get a bunch of kids to come in the industry. And like, you know what? Like construction, I don't give a shit about how much money you want to put into the industry. I want you to tell me about what the ROI was as a result of all that money that went into the industry. So most recently here in Canada, $6 billion going in to attract 100,000 new skilled trades students, right? That was the announcement over 5 years. So in year one, I want to know how many kids got in and how many kids are on their way down the workforce. And by year 5, I want to know the exact same thing. And then 5 years after that, I want to know how many of those kids are going to be there. I can feel pretty confident it's going to be less than 5% of that 100,000 are going to still be in construction. And $6 billion would have been spent. Because surprise, surprise, when you dig deeper into that, $6 billion, 100,000 students, that's $60K per student. Pull out your calculators and do it because I've already done it, right? But no, the student doesn't get $60K. The student can get up to $15K. The remaining $45K, admin fees. You know the people who don't speak English? The ones that have a white hard hat? The ones that have never been on a job site? $45K of each of those students is going to admin. That's a failure in my opinion. So you can boast about $6 billion and 100,000 students. So I don't care about Lowe's 250 million. Tell me about next year what that 250 million did. You know, when you build a house, I don't give a shit what you're wearing when you show up there before you start it. Invite me when the house is done and do a walkthrough with me. And hope to God I don't have to put a post-it note on any kind of deficiencies. Because it'll be a reflection of who you are as a tradesperson and as a builder. So everybody's always happy with the scissors and a ribbon, smiling, everybody with the gold shovel. Everybody's always happy at the start. Again, the unions will always tell you what you make. They'll never tell you what they take. And our leaders and people in power, the 1%ers, will always tell you what you're going to make, but they'll never tell you what they're going to take. They just take it. Why? Because they can. That's my problem. They can. And it bothers the hell out of me that we're allowing that. We shouldn't be allowing that, right? But I got all kinds of dents on my head, man, from hitting my fucking head against so many people that say one thing and then don't want to do this, don't want to support it, right? So I'm going to still keep fighting because that's who I am as an individual, right? That's just a reality of it. I'm not giving up on it. That's just a reality of it. I believe in it. It should happen. I believe in the construction industry. And I want to see the construction, because I'm still fucking around for at least another 50 years, right? I want to see that this construction industry gets better. It has to get better. In my way of thinking, getting better. Not in the 1%er way of getting better, right? That's dead and
you can't stop. Your voice is too important. Your passion is too high, and there's just too much at stake for you to stop. So
there's lots of construction ideas wheeling around in this hamster wheel, right? So I've got plenty of ideas that are going to make the industry better. Guys, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, this was great. I know I want to be mindful of your time. Manny, if anyone wanted to reach out, where's the best place? Instagram?
It's Instagram, you can DM me or whatever. Yeah, TCL_the construction life on IG and all the other social handles. Yeah, and I'm on all YouTube channels, LinkedIn, Facebook now, Twitter, X. And then the website is www.theconstructionlife.com. And all the information about Red and True is on that site, right? So everything's there. Talking about the $1,000, talking about the IP ownership, talking about the route, talking about our plan, talking about the objectives, talking about the whole behind the scenes stuff that we want to create. There's a lot. Trust me, man. I come from construction, I come from production. So I'm putting the two worlds together. That's the whole point of this. Like I'm colliding both worlds because it needs to be done that way. Right. So I don't know anybody else who actually has as much experience in both worlds as I do. I haven't met that individual yet, but I do. I have a lot of experience on both those worlds. So everything's on the website, www.theconstructionlife.com, and all over social media. And again, if anybody wants to speak to me and they want an hour of my time to just talk about their business and everything like that, drop me a DM and we'll coordinate it. And then, it'll go from the DM, it'll go to a text or it'll go to an email, and then we'll pick a day time that's convenient to you, convenient totally to you. You let me know. And there's no such thing as Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's not how I'm not working that shit. It's just whenever. I spoke to somebody on Sunday. It's just how it is, right? And then I'll talk to you about anything you want, man. Whatever's going on in your head. And I like that a lot of them are sharing quite a bit of stuff that's going on in their world, man. Like they're not holding back. And that's what I think is the catalyst to Red and True. They're fine. I've got a knack of letting people open up to me. Right. And then we talk about legitimate things that are going on and what to improve. And hopefully their lives could be better. Hopefully their construction lives could be better as a result of speaking and engaging with me. That's all I care about, man. So
if you're a contractor, take advantage of that. That could be a priceless conversation for sure.
Thanks, guys.
With that, Manny, thank you so much. I appreciate everyone listening. If you got this far, thank you. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening. It does help us reach more people and more contractors. And if you are a company owner, a trades construction company owner looking to streamline your operations, make things more efficient, check out Jobtable.com. There's a 14-day free trial. You can get started. If you need help, you can contact us directly. And check it out. Guys,
give it a go.
Was a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks,
I appreciate you guys, man.
Say hi to Charlie for me, man. I appreciate it, man.
I will. And everybody support Red and True. Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
We can do it. We can do it.
Awesome, man. Always a pleasure. Thank you, man.
All right,
Thank you.